For over 5,000 years, the Varnak Empire ruled the stars. They had the largest fleet, the strongest weapons, and no one dared challenge them. Worlds bowed to them. Races disappeared under their rule. Peace, they called it. But it was peace. Built on fire, high above the Varnak capital. In the throne tower made of black crystal, Emperor Thalax stood before a glowing map of the galaxy. Dozens of stars blinked red. Trouble, resistance, weak rebellions. Nothing serious. Then an old technician stepped into the chamber, holding a dusty data drive. He looked nervous. "Speak," the Emperor said, voice cold and sharp. "Sire, one of our ancient probes has returned. Probe 9B. It entered a dead zone we long forgot. Sector 92. Old Terran space." The Emperor frowned. "Earth." The technician nodded. "Yes, my Emperor. It sent this signal." He placed the drive into the table. A soft sound echoed through the room's static, broken radio. Then a voice. "This is Earth's command. We see you. We remember. And we are not alone." Silence followed. The Emperor laughed. "Trick, the Terrans are extinct. We burned their world ages ago, but the signal is new," the technician said. "It's not old data. It's live." The room grew colder. 2 days later, the Varnak Council gathered. Holograms flickered with images, satellite footage, deep scans, and strange movement across Sector 92. Small ships. Fast. Too fast. Human ships. General Zareth, head of military operations, stepped forward. "We sent a scout fleet. 5. Destroyers. Armed with plasma weapons. No response from them yet?" The Emperor waved a hand. "They'll return soon. Humans are dead. This is just noise." But the scout fleet didn't return. A week later, a single escape pod arrived near Varnak space. Inside was a Varnak officer, shaking, bloodied, whispering nonsense. The stars burned," he said again and again. "They didn't fight us, they ended us." He died before they could question him. Inside the pod was a message broadcasted in an old Earth language, now translated, "You thought we died, but we evolved. You forgot us, but we remembered. And now we are watching." The Varnak Council argued. Some wanted to retreat. Some wanted to launch full war. The Emperor slammed his fist. "No more fear," he growled. "We send a battle cruiser to Sector 92. If they live, we erase them fully this time." Captain Lorne of the battlecruiser Crimson Flame stood on the bridge. His ship was one of the most powerful in the fleet, thousands of Varnak soldiers on board, shielded, armed, ready. As they reached Sector 92, space grew strange, silent. No signals, no movement, just empty stars. Then a small human drone appeared in front of them. It was tiny. No weapons, just floating, watching. The Varnak sensors locked onto it. Lorne laughed. "Target practice." But before he could give the order, the drone spoke. "You entered our space? You brought war once. This time we finish it." The drone vanished. Then the stars blinked. Not real starships. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Human ships, shaped like shadows, with no heat, no sound. They were already there, cloaked. The Crimson Flame didn't even get to fire. One by one, the crew watched their systems die. Lights faded, weapons locked, shields dropped. The last thing they saw was a message on every screen. "We are Earth, and we never forgot." Back on the Varnak capital, the Emperor waited for news. He got only silence. His anger turned into worry. Then the lights in his palace dimmed. A new voice echoed through the walls. A voice that didn't belong to anyone in the room. It was human. "This is just the beginning. You built your empire with fire. Now, feel what it's like to burn." The message ended. And across the galaxy, in silent corners, in old ruins, in dark space forgotten by all lights, began to flicker on. Earth was waking up, and the Varnak Empire had just lit the spark. The galaxy was changing. Whispers spread like wildfire. Throth was alive. Humanity, thought to be extinct, had returned. Not with peace, but with purpose. On the far edge of Sector 92, the wreckage of the Crimson Flame floated in silence. No black box, no survivors, only burn mark scars. From weapons no one could explain, the Varnak Empire tried to hide the loss. But too many eyes had seen it. Traders, smugglers, miners, all told the same story. A human drone appeared, and then the stars turned into ships. Back in the Varnak capital, the Emperor sat in silence. His pride was wounded. His fleets, humiliated. He summoned General Zareth. "We strike now," the Emperor ordered. "Not scouts, not threats, a full fleet." "And the Terran lie?" Zareth hesitated. "My Emperor, we still don't know how many of them there are." "Or what kind of weapons? Send the Ninth Armada," the Emperor growled. "Level Earth. Turn it to ash." Orders went out. Ships moved. Across the Empire, war drums beat once more. The Ninth Armada arrived at Earth's border 2 weeks later. It was the Empire's strongest force, 40 warships, 10 carriers, 2 dreadnoughts. They found nothing at first. No planets. No stations. Just silence. Dodd. Captain Rowe of the dreadnought Vengeance stood on the command deck, scanning the dark. "Where is Earth?" one officer asked. "No signs, only interference," another replied. "Something is blocking our scans." Just then, a signal came through. Audio only. It wasn't Varnak, wasn't static. It was a human voice. "You ignored our warning. Now face our answer." The message ended. And the stars lit up. Hundreds of human ships decloaked, but they didn't attack. Instead, one small ship moved forward. Alone. It looked unarmed. It matched speed with the Vengeance. Then it stopped. A channel opened. A human appeared on screen. Calm, cold. His eyes said everything. "I am Commander Elric. Earth offered peace once. We burned it. Now we return the favor." Captain Rowe laughed. "You think one ship can stop us?" The human didn't smile. "No. This one is only to record your fall." Suddenly warning lights flashed. Arnok's ships began to shut down. Shields flickered. Targeting systems crashed. It wasn't a virus. It was something older buried in their own code. The Empire had stolen tech long ago. Now it turned against them. Then came the attack. Human ships didn't fire normal weapons. Their beams sliced through shields like paper. Their missiles split mid-flight, becoming 10, then 20. The Varnak fleet fought hard. But their weapons barely touched the enemy. The battle lasted 12 minutes. When it was over, stars were quiet again. Only 3 Varnak ships limped away. News spread fast. Too fast for the Empire to control. Small empires began to panic. Verno. Colonies locked down. In hidden corners of the galaxy, old enemies of the Empire smiled. Earth wasn't gone. Earth was rising, and they weren't interested in peace. Back in the capital, the Emperor raged. He smashed tables. Threatened his advisors. He called Earth a myth, a shadow, a weak world pretending to be strong. But fear was already growing in his heart, because this time, it wasn't just Earth's weapons. It was their silence. They didn't demand surrender. They didn't claim territory. They didn't ask for anything. They were just watching. And that made them more dangerous than anything the Empire had ever faced. In a dark chamber, deep under the Varnak Palace, the Empire's oldest historian opened a locked vault. Inside were records sealed for 5,000 years' memories. Of the first war with Earth, he read the final line of the forgotten file. It chilled him to the bone. "We struck Earth, but they survived. We thought time would break them. We were wrong. They're not like us. They don't forgive, and they never forget." Across the stars, fear began to grow. Varno, K-controlled worlds, proud and loud, fell strangely silent. Ships stopped traveling near Sector 92. Trade routes were empty. Even the black market refused to pass close to Earth space. But the Empire still tried to look strong in front of 1,000 systems. The Emperor spoke. Humanity is weak. Their attacks mean nothing. The Varnock Empire stands forever. But his voice shook, because deep down, he knew something was wrong. 3 days after the Ninth Armada was destroyed, 4 Varnock colonies in the Outer Rings stopped responding. At first, the Empire thought it was just a signal problem. Then a patrol ship arrived. What it saw made even the hard Varnock warriors fall silent. The colonies were still there, but empty. No bodies, no damage, just silence. The cities were clean. Power still on. Meals still warm, but every Varnock was gone. No signs of struggle. Only one thing was left behind in each colony, carved into the center of the ground, in ancient Terran letters. We remember everything. The Emperor ordered more fleets to be sent, but the generals hesitated now. Too many losses, too many unknowns. And then something happened no one expected. A small Varnock science ship received an old signal from the deep void. A piece of human code. It's broken and hard to read. They decoded it. Inside was a map, a list of old Varnock outposts long forgotten, erased from records. Places where thousands of years ago the Empire had committed war crimes against early Earth. Colonies now, one by one. Those places were disappearing, destroyed by precision. No civilian harm. Only old Varnock military stations. Burned from orbit. Left as ash. Earth wasn't attacking it. Random. They were cleaning up history. And they were sending a message. You buried the past. We're digging it up. Back in the Varnock Military Command, General Zareth reviewed the list. Each attack! Site matched a classified location only known to the inner circle. Someone has access to our records, he said. The Emperor growled. A traitor? Zareth shook his head. No, something worse. They don't need spies. He pointed to the screen. They're reading our systems like a book. It's not hacking. It's control. In a quiet room far from the capital, an old Varnock engineer sat alone. He had worked on the Empire's fleet software nearly 1,000 years ago. When he saw the human signals, he whispered, "Oh no. We used their code." Well, he remembered now long ago, during the First War with Earth, Varnock scientists stole human tech. They copied systems, integrated Earth's code into their own war programs. No one thought Earth would survive. No one thought they'd ever use it. Now, that old code was waking up inside every ship, every satellite. Every drone, the Empire had built its strength on a stolen foundation, and now Earth was turning it against them. Across the galaxy, other species began to whisper. Some watched with fear, some with hope, some with revenge in their hearts, because they remembered. Too, they remembered what the Varnock Empire had done to them, what they lost, how they suffered, and now they saw something impossible, the unstoppable Varnock, running scared. Because Earth had returned not to conquer, not to rule, but to burn the lies and bring truth back into the stars, at the edge of Varnock space. A single human ship arrived in full view. It didn't hide, it didn't attack, it just hovered. Letting every sensor track it, a Varnock destroyer moved to intercept. But before they could fire, the human ship sent a final message. This is not your galaxy anymore. This is the age of reckoning. Watch the fire spread. Then the ship jumped, not away but deeper into Varnock space. Straight toward the core worlds and across the galaxy. A new phrase began to spread. No one knew who said it first. Maybe a smuggler. Maybe a soldier. But now it echoed everywhere. The humans are not invading. They're remembering. The Varnock military sent everything they had to the Lyra system. It was a key location, 3 stargates, 7 fuel stations, and a direct path to the Varnock inner worlds. They believed Earth would attack here next. Admiral Kron led the defense. He had 25 ships, all fully armed. Drones swarmed the outer edge. Satellites watched every movement. Nothing would pass. For the first 2 days, everything was calm, too calm. Then the stars began to blink, sir. We're losing visual on grid. 7, one officer said. Crone frowned. System failure? No, Admiral. The stars are still there, but something's blocking the light. Another officer turned from the radar. Sir, we're detecting shapes. Ships. No engine trails. It's just shadows. Crone stepped to the window of the command deck. In the darkness of space, something moved. Large, silent. And then hundreds more followed. Across the Lyra system, Varnock ships went on high alert. Weapons charged. Shields rose. But the unknown ships didn't fire. They just waited. No messages, no warnings, just presence. Then the Varnock satellites picked up a signal. Weak, fragmented. Not a threat. Not even a warning. Just an old Earth code. Unit 77 online. Command, awaiting fire order. Crone's eyes widened. Unani 77. It's not new. That's pre-Empire era. The comms officer looked pale. Admiral, these aren't new human ships. They're ancient. Then why are they still flying? No one answered. Back on the Varnock capital, panic spread among the High Council. The Emperor shouted, "How can they fly ships that old?" "They should have rusted." A voice in the room replied, cold, soft. "Because they don't use crews," was the head of data intelligence. Her face pale. "These are automated fleets, built during the First War with Earth. Left in deep space. Powered by solar drift, hidden under stealth. We thought they were myths." The Emperor leaned forward. "And now?" She looked at him. "They've come home." In Lyra, the Varnock fleet finally opened fire. Massive plasma rounds tore through space. They hit nothing, because before the shots even reached them, human ghost ships had moved. Not by engines, by predictions, by code that could read and respond. Faster than thought, then without warning. The ghost fleet returned fire, but not to kill. Each Varnock ship lost control. Weapons powered down. Engines shut off. Gravity failed. Crew floated helpless in zero-G, watching systems lock around them. One by one, a single message appeared on every screen. Lyra belongs to Earth now. No death today, only silence. Admiral Crone sent an emergency code to the capital, requesting reinforcements. We're being taken without a fight. This isn't where it's a takeover. But no answer came. His ship's signal was jammed from inside. Then the air turned cold. Every screen on his bridge changed, and a human face appeared. It wasn't alive, just an old AI. Its voice was calm. "You are now under Terran silence protocol. No messages. No movement. No mercy if resistance continues." Crone tried to reply, but the system muted him, and all across the Lyra system, Varnock ships floated in space, powerless, surrounded by ships older than memory, on a faraway moon. An ancient vault opened. Inside were records from the First Terran War. The file name was simple. Ghost Fleet Protocol. It had one sentence. If Earth falls, these ships wait. If Earth rises, they return. And now, they had returned. Galactic networks buzzed with fear. The Varnock Empire had lost another system without a single Terran death. People began calling the ships Shadows of Earth. Others used another name, the Fleet that Waited. Even within the Empire, some Varnock officers began to question everything. How do you fight an enemy that doesn't need sleep, air, or blood? One asked another, whispered, "They don't want peace. They want us to feel what they once felt." In the dark, Earth's silence was louder than war, and deep within the Terran Ghost Fleet, a final command was received. Move forward. What remembers, leave what forgets. The Lyra system was only the beginning. The Empire's heart was now within reach, and the fire was still spreading. The Varnock Empire had never been attacked on its homeworld, never. Its capital planet Zorath Prime was guarded by the largest space fleet ever built. It had 10 orbital defense rings, over 2,000 warships, and an atmosphere shield powered by a sun-sized core. They called it the Fortress of the Gods. No enemy had ever come close. Until now, one morning, without any warning, every holoscreen on Zorath Prime turned black. Then, a single message appeared. We are already here. Seconds later, the main power grid failed. Traffic stopped. Shields dropped. The palace lights went dark. And in the sky above the throne world, nothing. No warships. No alarms. Just silence. The people of the capital looked up, confused. There were no explosions, no enemy fleet, but deep underground, in the Emperor's war chamber, panic was rising. They've breached the planet's net. One officer shouted, another screamed, the defense satellites, they're offline. They just shut off? By what? The Emperor demanded. No one could answer. Then the room fell silent. A stranger stepped out of the shadows. Human. The guards raised their weapons instantly. But the man didn't move. He was calm, unarmed, wearing only a long black coat and a badge. On his chest it read, Earth Command, Operative Level Omega. How did you get here? The Emperor barked. The human looked him in the eye. You ruled by fear. We watched. We waited, now we act. The Emperor laughed. You think one man can threaten an empire? The operative stepped forward, slowly. No fear in his walk. I'm not here to threaten. I'm here to offer you a choice. He pulled out a data chip and placed it on the Emperor's table. Everything you've built, every ship, every command system, every weapon relies on stolen Terran code. You copied it during the First War. You improved it, used it to rule the stars. The Emperor said nothing. But now the human continued, that code belongs to us again. With this chip, I can shut down your entire empire in 5 seconds. He paused. Unless you do it yourself. There was silence in the war chamber. No one believed him. Then the human pressed a button on his wrist, and every screen in the palace turned white. The entire empire's communication grid was gone. No signals, no orders, no data, nothing. The human looked at the Emperor. You have 3 days, he said. Burn it down yourself, or we will do it for you. Then he vanished. Across Zoroth Prime, confusion turned to fear. Military stations stopped responding. Banks froze. Factories halted then. Rebellions began. The outer colonies had heard of Earth's rise. Now they believed it, and they were done serving the Varnock. General Zareth tried to send ships to restore control, but every ship's navigation system failed. Mid-dash flight, all Varnock software had Earth's fingerprints now, and Earth was locking it down. One by one, systems collapsed without a single shot fired. The Emperor stood alone in his throne room. He watched his empire fall, not by war, but by silence. He slammed his fist into the wall. They don't want peace. They want revenge. He activated the palace's emergency code system planning to launch a counterattack. Anything to fight back. But the system responded with a single word: locked. By Earth, outside in the streets, people gathered. There were no soldiers, no curfews, no orders. Only the sky. And in that sky, one human ship floated silently above the city. A symbol, a message, and then, across every screen on the planet, a calm human voice spoke. This is not conquest. This is correction. You ruled for 5,000 years. Now the stars will remember something else. In the deep data core of the capital, old records began to delete names of emperors, battles, victories, wiped. History was being rewritten by Earth, and no one could stop it. The throne world didn't fall with fire. It fell with fear. It fell with silence. And in the cold heart of the Emperor, a single truth burned. We never defeated them. We only delayed them. And now they've returned to finish it. The Varnock Empire was collapsing. Systems were falling without battles. Fleets were trapped in their own hangars. And worst of all, people were starting to whisper the unthinkable. Maybe the humans were right. In the great war hall of Zoroth Prime, what was left of the High Command gathered in secret. The Emperor hadn't been seen for days. His silence left a vacuum. General Zareth sat at the head of the table, eyes heavy, voice low. We can't win this war, he said. Not against ghosts. Admiral Theros slammed his fist. Then what? We surrender? No, Zareth replied. We survive. He pulled up a secret communication channel. On the other side was a human. The human's face was half hidden in, shadowed, his voice calm, cold. "You're ready to talk," the human said. Zareth nodded. "We want peace or a deal." The human leaned forward. "There is no peace," he said. "Only surrender. Only memory." Zareth looked around at the other Varnock leaders. Some were pale, some were angry. None of them spoke. Then Zareth said the one thing no Varnock had ever dared to say: "We'll give you the Empire." In return, the humans offered only one thing: silence. They would not attack any more worlds. They would not erase more history if the remaining Varnock systems surrendered their fleets, their data archives, and the names of those who gave the kill orders during the First War Earth would stop. And so, the betrayal began, one by one. Our ranking Varnock officers switched sides. They sent data to Earth. They shut down their own defense grids. They even turned in loyalist commanders, blaming them for crimes of the past, but they didn't know. Humanity was recording everything in a hidden chamber under the ruins of a destroyed colony. Commander Elric watched the betrayals play out on screen. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He just played back the Varnock broadcast from years ago. One where Earth was called a primitive dead world, unworthy of memory. Now the same leaders begged for mercy. Elric tapped a button. "Send the files to the galaxy," he said. "Let everyone see what they once believed in." Across the stars, the truth spread. The Varnock Empire had hidden its crimes, destroyed history, lied to its people. Now, humans were uncovering it all. Entire races, once silenced, watched in shock as their forgotten pasts returned. They remembered their lost cities, their murdered leaders, the betrayals, and the fear they had once felt. Turned to rage, not toward Earth, but toward the V. Our knocked. Riots broke out on dozens of Varnock worlds. Statues were pulled down. Flags burned, and more soldiers refused to follow orders. The Empire wasn't being destroyed by war. It was being destroyed. From within, back on Zorth Prime, the Emperor finally spoke. He appeared on the last functioning broadcast. Channeled, his face was tired, eyes full of fire and pride. "This betrayal will be remembered. You bend the knee to an enemy that should not exist, but I will not. Let the humans come. I will burn before I bow," he ended the speech, then ordered his personal fleet to power up. One last strike, one last show of strength, but his fleet never launched. The hangars stayed sealed. The engines stayed cold, because someone had already shut them down. From inside, a coded message appeared on his throne room walls. "We gave them the keys. You locked the door, but we opened it from within." It was signed General Xareth, the Emperor. Screamed. He tried to activate the emergency command override. Nothing happened. Every system was gone. And from the shadows, new sound. Boots, a human figure, stepped forward. The same operative from before, unarmed, calm. "We warned you," the human said. The Emperor rose from his throne. "You think this is over? I am the Empire?" The human shook his head. "No, you were the Empire. Now you're just a man. At your people. They don't want you anymore." Outside, on the streets of Zorth Prime, crowds were cheering, not for the humans, but because they were free, for the first time in thousands of years. The Varnock people looked to the stars and didn't see rulers. They saw possibility, they saw truth, and they saw the fire, still rising. A month after the fall of Zorth Prime, the galaxy was in chaos. The Varnock Empire, once the strongest force in the stars, was no longer whole. Some systems still resisted. Some wanted revenge. But most just wanted it all to end, in a neutral system, far from any homeworld. Leaders from dozens of species gathered on a dead moon called Aurelian. There were no cities, no technology, just open ground and silence. Earth chose the place on purpose. a place with no distractions, a place where history could be written. Again, humanity arrived last, not with a fleet, not with force, just one single ship. Black, silent, shaped like a blade. When its ramp opened, 5 Terran officers stepped out. They wore no weapons. No, it's just gray suits with one symbol. A burning star inside a circle. The new mark of Earth. At the front walked Commander Elric, and behind him, a small drone carried a single object, the Ember Treaty. The treaty was not long, just 5 lines, but it would change the galaxy. LRIC placed it on the table made of stone, not steel. He looked at the gathered leaders. "This is not a peace offering," he said. "It is a line in fire." No one spoke. He continued. "You may live, trade, rebuild. But no one will wear the name Varnak again. No flag, no song, no throne." Varnak ambassador, pale and weak, stood and asked, "What if we refuse?" Elric looked him in the eye. "Then your stars go dark next." No one refused. One by one, they signed. Even the Varnak, especially the Varnak, because they knew Earth didn't want power. They wanted silence. They wanted the screams of the past to be heard and then, finally, to stop. But the treaty wasn't just about ending war. It was about something else. Correction. The Terran envoy uploaded a signal across the galaxy. It was a broadcast, a visual file in it. The crimes of the Varnak were shown one by one. Worlds erased. Children enslaved. Histories rewritten. And then came the second file. The lost history of Earth, what they suffered, how they disappeared, and what they built in the dark. It ended with the same phrase now burned into every screen in the stars. "You thought we were gone, but we were just preparing, and now we light the truth." Across the galaxy, people wept, not out of fear, but out of shame. They believed the Empire's lies. Now they knew, and Earth made sure they would never forget. Later that night, under the light of 3 moons, Commander Elric stood alone. A young alien diplomat approached him. Her species had once fought beside the Varnak. "We expected you to take control," she said. "To build your own empire now." Elric shook his head. "We don't need to rule. We only needed to be heard." "Then, what happens next?" she asked. He looked up at the stars. "We watch. If truth lives, we disappear. If lies return, we come back." Then, he walked into the shadows by morning. The Earth ship was gone. No one saw it leave. No one knew where it went. Only the message remained. The galaxy is free, but we are still awake. In the months that followed, old Varnak statues were pulled down, libraries rebuilt lost histories, and people across 1,000 systems began speaking one truth. The humans didn't save us. They reminded us that in the cold corners of space, not everyone agreed with the treaty. Some still wanted power. Some still believed that empire would rise again. They met in secret, built in secret, whispered in secret, but they didn't know. Of their machines was already listening in a quiet facility. The terminal blinked, then typed 3 words by itself. They signed it. A human AI responded. "Keep watching." The Varnak Empire was gone. Its fleets were silent. Its flags erased. Its name forbidden. Across the galaxy, new governments formed. Some were peaceful, some were greedy. But all remembered one thing. Earth was still watching, and Earth had vanished again. No human ships patrolled the skies. No demands were made, no broadcasts followed, but the silence was not empty. It was a warning in the deep core of the galaxy. Far from known maps, one last hidden Varnak station remained old, cold, forgotten by most. But inside, something ancient stirred. The final Emperor Varanax the Unseen had survived, kept alive by machines, kept hidden by traitors. Now he stood before a long black console. His fingers hovered over a glass panel. One final weapon, one final strike. "If Earth won't take the galaxy," he said, "then they won't have it either." He activated Project Blackstorm, a super weapon built in secret, capable of destroying not just planets, but stars. Its first target, Solurth's sun, the weapon charged. The core glowed red. Varnox smiled for the first time in years. But then, everything stopped. The console froze. Lights dimmed. The screen displayed 3 words. System override. Human command priority. Varnax stumbled back. What, how? Behind him, a soft worry noise. He turned slowly. A human drone floated, just above the floor. Its voice was clear and sharp. You built this with stolen code you never truly owned. It. Varnax roared, slamming his fist into the drone. It didn't move. It didn't need to, because at that moment, every screen on the station lit up with one message. You lit the fire. You burned the past. Now you return to ash.
Ash? The station?
Exploded 5 seconds later, quietly, cleanly. Not a trace was left. The last emperor. Ended by the very code his people had once stolen. The galaxy felt it. A shift in the silence. Something. Final. And then across the stars, a new signal echoed. Not heard since the Ember Treaty? A voice human. Calm. The fire is out. The past is buried. But if empires rise again on the bones of lies, we will return. Not as saviors, not as rulers, but as the end. People listened, and for the first time in galactic memory, they believed. Years passed, the galaxy rebuilt, trade flowed again. Old enemies became uneasy friends. New leaders rose, some proud, some humble, but none dared call themselves emperor. Because above every government building, in every space station, in every school where history was taught, a single symbol remained, a burning star inside a circle. No words, no explanation, just the mark of Earth, and the silent reminder, we are watching. We don't need thrones. We are the fire at the edge of memory. In the far dark of space, a single Terran ship drifted. Its lights were dim, its systems quiet. But inside, thousands of records played on loop, stories of lost worlds, broken races, silenced voices, and at the center of it all, a voice whispered endlessly. This time we remembered. This time we answered. We didn't stop. The Empire had stood for millennia, but in the end it wasn't fire that destroyed. It was truth and humanity. They didn't conquer the stars. They made sure no one ever lied to them again.